Welcome to Motivemustery, where the wisdom of the ages meets the challenges of today. In today's video, we delve into the life and legacy of Karl Marx, a philosopher, economist, historian, and revolutionary socialist. Marx, known for his critical analysis of capitalism and his influential role in shaping socialist thought, remains a towering figure in modern intellectual history. Marx's theories about society, economics, and politics, which collectively came to be known as Marxism, have sparked intense debate and revolutionized political thought. His works, including the seminal texts The Communist Manifesto and Das Kapital, continue to be studied for their profound insights into the nature of societal development and class struggles. Beyond his theoretical contributions, Marx's ideas have had a significant impact on the shaping of the modern world, influencing political movements and revolutions across the globe. Join us as we explore 30 of his most impactful quotes and their relevance in today's socio-political landscape. The philosophers have only interpreted the world in various ways. The point, however, is to change it. These words are also inscribed upon his grave, harking back to the era of existential philosophy. This maxim mirrors the ideologies of thinkers like Sartre and Nietzsche, who valued personal authenticity above societal norms. Highlighting the virtue of self-identity, this quote underscores the significance of maintaining one's true self amidst societal expectations. As we navigate through an age where external pressures are intense, this quote resonates with the importance of staying true to oneself, showcasing the strength found in individuality. The oppressed are allowed once every few years to decide which particular representatives of the oppressing class are to represent and repress them. Reflecting on the cyclical nature of political power and class struggles, this statement delves into the dynamics of societal control and the illusion of choice within oppressive systems. This quote critically examines the paradox of democracy in a class-divided society, highlighting the limitations of political freedom under systemic oppression. In our modern context, this quote challenges us to question the true nature of democratic choice and representation in a world still grappling with power imbalances and social inequalities. Surround yourself with people who make you happy, people who make you laugh, who help you when you're in need, people who genuinely care. They are the ones worth keeping in your life. Everyone else is just passing through. This quote, often attributed to Marx, actually reflects a more general sentiment about the importance of personal relationships and community in one's life. It emphasizes the value of emotional support and the positive impact of nurturing relationships, advocating for a life surrounded by genuine affection and care. Today, this quote resonates with the ongoing quest for meaningful connections in a digital age, underscoring the importance of real human interaction and support systems. The last capitalist we hang shall be the one who sold us the rope. This provocative statement encapsulates Marx's critical view of capitalism and its inherent contradictions. It conveys a deep skepticism of the capitalist system, suggesting that it sows the seeds of its own destruction through its exploitative nature. In our current era, this quote provokes reflection on the sustainability and ethical implications of capitalist practices, urging a reevaluation of economic systems. The less you express your own life, the greater is your alienated life, the greater is the store of your estranged being. This quote delves into the critique of materialism and capitalism, reflecting Marx's view on how these systems encourage a disconnection from personal passions and pursuits. It illustrates the paradox of accumulation in capitalism. The more one abstains from personal fulfillment and expression, the more material wealth accumulates, leading to a greater sense of alienation. In the context of modern society, this quote is a stark reminder of the potential cost of prioritizing material wealth over personal growth and expression, encouraging reflection on the balance between work, life, and fulfillment. Man makes religion. Religion does not make man. Religion is the self-consciousness and self-esteem of man who has lost himself again. Religion is the sigh of the oppressed creature, the heart of a heartless world, and the soul of soulless conditions. It is the opium of the people. The abolition of religion as the illusory happiness of the people is the demand for their real happiness. The criticism of religion is the criticism of that veil of tears of which religion is the halo. The criticism of religion disillusions man, so that he will think, act, and fashion his reality like a man who has discarded his illusions and regained his senses. This profound statement reflects Marx's critical approach to religion, viewing it as a product of human creation and a reflection of societal conditions. It highlights the concept that religion is a manifestation of human consciousness and a response to the conditions of society, often providing solace in times of suffering. In today's world, this quote encourages a critical examination of how religious beliefs and practices are intertwined with social and economic conditions, influencing personal and collective consciousness. Men make their own history, but under pre-existing circumstances from the past. The tradition of dead generations weighs on the living. In times of crisis, they borrow from the past to present new scenes in old guises. This quote reflects Marx's perspective on the complex interplay between individual agency and historical forces, acknowledging how the past shapes present actions. It highlights the limitations of individual autonomy in the face of entrenched historical and societal norms, and the influence of past traditions on contemporary actions. In the modern world, this quote resonates with the ongoing challenges of breaking free from historical legacies and creating new paths, while recognizing the weight of the past in shaping the present. The history of society is the history of class struggles, where oppressor and oppressed stand in constant opposition, leading to either a societal transformation or the mutual ruin of contending classes. This quote encapsulates Marx's view of history as a series of class struggles, emphasizing the perpetual conflict between different social classes. It underscores the inevitability of class conflict in shaping societal structures and the cyclical nature of revolutionary change. Today, this quote challenges us to consider the ongoing relevance of class struggles in contemporary society and the potential for transformative social change. Hegel remarks somewhere that all great, world historical facts and personages occur, as it were, twice. He has forgotten to add, the first time as tragedy, the second as farce. This quote reflects Marx's interpretation of Hegel's ideas about history, adding a critical twist to the notion of historical repetition. It highlights the cyclical nature of history, suggesting that historical events tend to repeat themselves, first as significant events and then later in a diminished or distorted form. In contemporary times, this quote invites reflection on how past events shape current situations, often reappearing in new forms that can be either enlightening or distorted reflections of their original significance. Let the ruling classes tremble at a communistic revolution. The proletarians have nothing to lose but their chains. They have a world to win. Workingmen of all countries unite. This statement embodies Marx's revolutionary call to the proletariat, emphasizing their potential to change the existing social order. It encapsulates the idea that the working class, having little to lose, holds the power to initiate significant societal change and challenge the status quo. Today, this quote still resonates with the struggles of the working class and the ongoing pursuit of social justice and equality, encouraging solidarity and collective action. A specter is haunting Europe, the specter of communism. Communism is already acknowledged by all European powers to be in itself a power. It is high time that communists should openly, in the face of the whole world, publish their views, their aims, their tendencies. This quote is the opening of the Communist Manifesto, reflecting Marx and Engels' view of the rising awareness and fear of communism in 19th century Europe. It encapsulates the idea that communism, though feared and criticized by many, was becoming a significant ideological and political force that could not be ignored. In today's context, this quote reminds us of the enduring impact of political ideologies and their capacity to shape and challenge societal norms and structures. The bourgeoisie has left remaining no other nexus between man and man than naked self-interest, callous cash payment for exploitation. It has substituted naked, shameless, direct, brutal exploitation. This quote reflects Marx's critical view of the bourgeoisie's role in transforming societal structures, leading to the dissolution of traditional bonds and values. It emphasizes how the rise of the bourgeoisie and capitalist systems devalued human relations, reducing them to mere transactions and self-interest, eroding communal and familial bonds. In today's context, this quote prompts reflection on the impact of capitalism on social and family structures, questioning the prioritization of economic interests over human connections and values. Reason has always existed, but not always in a reasonable form. This quote reflects Marx's understanding of reason as a fundamental human attribute that, however, has not always been applied or manifested in sensible ways throughout history. It highlights the distinction between the innate capacity for rational thought and the varied, often irrational ways in which it has been utilized in different contexts. In modern times, this quote encourages critical thinking about how reason is employed in our societies, and the importance of cultivating rational thought that is truly beneficial and constructive. I am nothing, but I must be everything. This paradoxical statement encapsulates Marx's view of the individual's potential in the context of larger societal structures, emphasizing both insignificance and the possibility of significant influence. It underscores the notion that while an individual may seem insignificant in the grand scheme of things, they possess the potential to enact substantial change and be everything in terms of their impact. Today, this quote resonates with the idea that each person, regardless of their perceived insignificance, has the capacity to contribute meaningfully to society and effect change. To be radical is to grasp things by the root. This quote is Marx's articulation of the essence of radicalism, focusing on addressing the root causes of issues rather than their symptoms. It emphasizes the importance of understanding and tackling the underlying structures and systems that give rise to social and economic problems. In the contemporary context, this quote inspires a deeper examination of the fundamental issues in our society, advocating for systemic change rather than superficial fixes. Go on, get out! Last words are for fools who haven't said enough. This quote, often attributed to Marx in his final moments, reflects his disdain for the traditional importance placed on a person's final words or statements. It emphasizes the idea that actions in a lifetime of work speak louder than any final statement, dismissing the glorification of last words as superficial. In modern times, this quote resonates with the notion that the true measure of a person's impact lies in their actions and contributions throughout life, rather than in their final moments or words. It is not the consciousness of men that determines their being, but, on the contrary, their social being that determines their consciousness. This quote encapsulates Marx's view on the relationship between consciousness and social conditions, positing that social reality shapes individual consciousness. It highlights the idea that an individual's beliefs, perceptions, and consciousness are largely influenced by their social environment and the material conditions of their life. In contemporary society, this quote prompts reflection on how social structures, economic conditions, and cultural contexts shape our thoughts, beliefs, and perceptions. In a higher phase of communist society, after labor has become not only a means of life but life's prime want, only then can the narrow horizon of bourgeois right be crossed in its entirety and society inscribe on its banners, from each according to his ability, to each according to his needs. This quote encapsulates Marx's vision of a future communist society, where the division of labor and the disparity between mental and physical work are resolved. It emphasizes the transformation of labor into a fulfilling aspect of life, where work is aligned with individual abilities and needs, leading to a society based on cooperation and mutual support. In today's context, this quote inspires a re-examination of our current labor and economic systems, challenging the pursuit of a society where individuals contribute and receive based on their abilities and needs. The less you are, the less you express your life, the more you have, the greater is your alienated life and the greater is the saving of your alienated being. This quote is a critical observation by Marx on the nature of capital accumulation, highlighting the irony that the pursuit of capital often leads to a diminished personal and social experience. It emphasizes the paradox that in saving and accumulating wealth, individuals may lose out on enriching experiences and expressions of life, leading to a more alienated existence. In today's context, this quote challenges us to consider the balance between material wealth and the richness of life experiences, questioning the true value of accumulating capital at the expense of personal fulfillment. The bourgeoisie cannot exist without constantly revolutionizing the instruments of production. Conservation of the old modes of production was the first condition of existence for all earlier industrial classes. All that is solid melts into air, all that is holy is profaned, and man is at last compelled to face with sober senses his real conditions of life and his relations with his kind. This quote captures Marx's view of the dynamic and transformative nature of bourgeois society, characterized by continuous innovation and change in production and societal relations. It emphasizes the relentless drive of the bourgeoisie to revolutionize production, leading to a perpetual state of social upheaval, uncertainty, and change, contrasting starkly with previous static social structures. In the modern context, this quote challenges us to reflect on the constant state of flux in our societies and economies, and the impact this has on our personal and collective lives. The ideas of the ruling class are in every epoch the ruling ideas. The class which has the means of material production at its disposal has control at the same time over the means of mental production. Marx's assertion reflects the concept that the dominant class shapes societal ideology, possessing both economic and intellectual influence. The essence of this statement lies in the power dynamics of society, where those who control resources also dominate cultural and intellectual discourse. In modern times, it challenges us to question who shapes our societal norms and values, encouraging a critical view of media and education. Under no pretext should arms and ammunition be surrendered. Any attempt to disarm the workers must be frustrated, by force if necessary. Karl Marx, a pivotal figure in political theory, staunchly advocated for the working class to maintain their power against oppression. Central to this quote is the idea of empowerment and self-defense, a call for the proletariat to never relinquish their tools of resistance. The quote's significance today lies in its advocacy for civil liberties and the right to self-determination, echoing in various social justice movements. Great social changes are impossible without the feminine ferment. Social progress can be measured exactly by the social position of the fair sex, the ugly ones included. This reflects Marx's recognition of women's crucial role in societal transformation and progress. The core message is the indispensability of women in driving social change and their status as a barometer of societal advancement. In contemporary society, this underscores the ongoing need for gender equality and the critical role women play in shaping progressive societies. Religion is the impotence of the human mind to deal with occurrences it cannot understand. Karl Marx viewed religion as a reflection of societal weaknesses and a product of man's inability to understand the natural world. This quote underscores the idea that religion fills the gaps of human understanding with supernatural explanations. In contemporary discourse, this highlights the ongoing conflict between faith and reason, and the search for understanding through science and rationality. In communist society, society regulates the general production and thus makes it possible for me to do one thing today and another tomorrow, without ever becoming hunter, fisherman, herdsman, or critic. Marx's vision here reflects a society where work is not a rigid, lifelong role but a flexible engagement allowing individual freedom and exploration. The essence of this concept is the liberation from the rigidity of defined roles, offering a life where one can explore various facets of work and creativity. In our current context, it challenges us to rethink our approach to work-life balance and the pursuit of diverse skills and passions. The proletarians have nothing to lose but their chains. They have a world to win. This statement from Marx is a rallying cry for the working class to recognize their exploitation and to rise up against their oppressors. The essence here is liberation and revolution, inspiring workers to cast off the shackles of economic slavery. Its relevance remains in the struggle for social equity and workers' rights, reminding us that systemic change is driven by collective action. There is no royal road to science, and only those who do not dread the fatiguing climb of its steep paths have a chance of gaining its luminous summits. Marx asserts that the pursuit of scientific understanding requires hard work and perseverance, without shortcuts. The core message is that valuable knowledge and discovery come from enduring the rigorous process of learning and inquiry. This reflects in our current era's emphasis on education and innovation, where dedication to learning is key to advancement. If anything is certain, it is that I myself am not a Marxist. In a letter about the peculiar Marxism which arose in France 1882, this quote, from Marx himself, reflects his critical stance towards the interpretations and adaptations of his theories, particularly in France. It highlights the complexity and dynamism of philosophical ideas, showing how they can be interpreted and reinterpreted over time. Its relevance today lies in reminding us that ideologies and theories are often more nuanced and fluid than their labels suggest. If money is the bond binding me to human life, binding society to me, connecting me with nature and man, is not money the bond of all bonds? Can it not dissolve and bind all ties? Is it not, therefore, also the universal agent of separation? Marx is critiquing the power of money in society, showing its dual role as a connector and a separator. This quote reflects on how money, as a central societal force, can both unify and divide, creating connections and disparities. Today, it speaks to the ongoing debate about the role of wealth and economic systems in shaping human relationships and societal structures. The bourgeoisie draws all, even the most barbarian, nations into civilization. It compels all nations, on pain of extinction, to adopt the bourgeois mode of production. It creates a world after its own image. This excerpt from Marx critiques the global influence of the bourgeoisie, highlighting their role in shaping the world's economic and cultural landscapes. It underscores the transformative power of capitalism in remolding societies and the homogenizing effect it has on diverse cultures. The relevance today is seen in the ongoing globalization process, where economic models and cultural norms are increasingly standardized across the world. Appreciation for joining our journey.